Did you know that only 22% of businesses are satisfied with their conversion rates? That's a staggering number, considering how much time and money companies pour into their marketing strategies. Even more shocking is that over 70% of marketing professionals say their strategies aren't effective. If you're part of that majority, you're not alone. Marketing can feel like a never-ending maze, filled with trends, metrics, and countless strategies. But many people miss the basics, leading to wasted resources and frustration. Have you ever launched a campaign that fizzled out? Or put your heart into a project, only to see it go unnoticed? In this video, we'll uncover the most common reasons why marketing strategies fail. We'll share surprising statistics and real-life examples that highlight these pitfalls. More importantly, we'll give you actionable tips to fix your strategy and turn it into a success story. Get ready to transform your approach to marketing. Your audience is waiting, and it's time to give them what they truly want. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: The Invisible Killer. Ignoring audience psychology. Marketing is not just about selling a product. It's about understanding why people buy it. Yet, many strategies fail because marketers skip this step. They push products without considering the audience's motivations, emotions, and pain points. According to Harvard professor Gerald Zaltman, 95% of purchasing decisions are driven by emotions, not logic. So, if you're crafting a campaign that only talks about features or benefits, you're missing the mark. You have to dig deeper. Here's a practical tip: use emotional triggers in your messaging. If you're selling fitness equipment, don't just talk about muscle gain. Instead, focus on the emotional outcome, like confidence or the ability to keep up with the kids. This taps into the deeper desires people have. Consider brands like Apple. They don't just sell iPhones, they sell a sense of belonging and status. That emotional connection is what drives their customers to line up for every new product launch. Your brand can do the same by identifying and tapping into what your audience really wants. In addition, using techniques like the scarcity principle, where people value things more if they believe they're scarce, can boost conversions. Studies show that creating urgency increases sales by 332%. So, work in time-sensitive offers or limited stock messaging when relevant. Chapter 2: The Shiny Object Trap. Chasing trends, not results. It's tempting to jump on every new marketing trend, especially when it seems like everyone else is doing it. TikTok ads, AI-driven campaigns, influencer marketing, you name it. But here's the truth: chasing trends can kill your strategy. Why? Because not every trend works for every brand. A study by Gartner found that 68% of marketers felt their brand wasn't well equipped to execute the latest digital trends. Think about that. More than half of marketers are throwing money at strategies they don't fully understand. Instead of focusing on the latest, shiny object, stick to tactics that have a proven track record for your brand. For example, if your audience doesn't hang out on TikTok, why pour resources into creating content for it? Spend that time optimizing the channels that are already working for you. This doesn't mean you should ignore new trends altogether. You should experiment, just not at the expense of what's already driving results. Set aside 10–15% of your budget for testing new platforms or techniques. If it works, great. If not, you can return to your core strategy without missing a beat. And remember, consistency beats innovation when it comes to marketing. In fact, a study by HubSpot shows that businesses that post consistently generate 126% more leads than those that don't. So, rather than hopping between trends, focus on consistency in your messaging and platforms. Chapter 3: Content Overload. When more is actually less. We've all heard the phrase, content is king. But here's the thing: more content doesn't always mean better results. In fact, many marketers pump out so much content that they overwhelm their audience, leading to a complete disconnect. Research shows that the average person is bombarded with around 5,000 ads per day. With that much content flying around, if yours isn't relevant or targeted, it's going to get lost in the noise. One of the biggest mistakes marketers make is trying to be everywhere at once. Instead of posting 10 times a day across 5 different platforms, focus on quality over quantity. A well-researched, high-value piece of content can have far more impact than dozens of mediocre posts. In fact, BuzzSumo found that 50% of content gets 0 shares. That's right, half of the content out there doesn't even get shared once. Why? Because it's not valuable enough. Instead of drowning your audience in content, take the time to research what they actually care about. Then, create content that addresses their specific needs or questions. Another tip, repurpose content. If you have a blog post that performed well, turn it into an infographic, a short video, or a podcast episode. This not only saves time but also maximizes the value of your high-performing content. Finally, use the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20th rule, in your content strategy. This means focusing 80% of your efforts on the content that delivers the most value. For most brands, 20% of content drives 80% of the engagement, so lean into what works. If you're finding this information helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips on transforming your marketing strategy. Your next successful campaign could be just a click away. Chapter 4, The Data Disconnect, Misreading the Metrics That Matter. Here's a common scenario. You launch a marketing campaign, and everything seems to be going well. Traffic is up, clicks are up, and people are engaging with your content. But then, nothing. No conversions, no leads, no sales. What went wrong? The problem is often that marketers focus on vanity metrics, numbers that look good on the surface, but don't actually impact your bottom line. For instance, high traffic numbers are great, but if that traffic doesn't convert, what's the point? According to a study by Marketing Profs, 71% of marketers say they struggle to connect data insights to actual performance. That's a huge problem. You can track every click and view, but if you don't understand how that translates into business results, you're missing the whole picture. To fix this, focus on actionable metrics, the numbers that lead to tangible outcomes. Instead of just looking at page views, track how many of those views turn into sign-ups or sales. Conversion rates, customer lifetime value, CLV, and return on investment, ROI, are the metrics that truly matter. A simple way to start is by creating a sales funnel that tracks users from their first interaction with your brand all the way to a purchase. This will help you pinpoint where people drop off and where you need to improve. Tools like Google Analytics or HubSpot make it easier to map out these funnels. Remember, more data isn't always better. In fact, IBM estimates that 90% of the data in the world today has been created in the last 2 years. Sifting through too much data can lead to analysis paralysis. The key is to focus on the metrics that move the needle for your business. Chapter 5, The Copycat Curse, Why Mimicking Competitors Backfires. It's easy to fall into the trap of copying what your competitors are doing. If they're successful, it's tempting to think, why not just do what they're doing? But copying competitors is often a shortcut to failure. Why? Because your brand is different. Your audience, values, and messaging are unique, and trying to be someone else dilutes what makes you stand out. According to Harvard Business School professor Youngma Moon, brands that try to fit in too much end up becoming invisible. In her book Different, Moon argues that the brands that succeed are the ones that dare to be bold and break away from the norm. Take Tesla, for example. Instead of copying traditional car companies, they disrupted the market by focusing on sustainability and innovation. That's what made them stand out, and it's why they've built such a loyal following. You can do the same by identifying what makes your brand unique and doubling down on it. One easy strategy is to perform a competitive analysis. Look at what your competitors are doing, but instead of copying them, ask yourself how you can do it differently, or better. If your competitors focus on low prices, for example, you could position yourself as the premium, high-quality option. Stand out by offering something they don't. Another thing to avoid is using the exact same channels and tactics as your competitors. If they're dominating Facebook ads, maybe you could find a gap on LinkedIn or YouTube. Explore untapped markets and platforms instead of battling them on their turf. If you found these insights valuable, make sure to subscribe for more tips on enhancing your marketing strategy. Remember, your next big breakthrough could be just a click away.